Welcome to RotoWire Fantasy Football Live. Come at you 5 days a week, 11 a.m. Eastern. Hey, if you missed the live show, you can always catch the replay. Remember, we're off on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Sunday, we have our start sit stream. That's also 11 a.m. Eastern. Give you the why so you can make your best lineup decision, closing in on the fantasy playoffs. But I tell you, I'll be playing the super draft for the Sunday games. Now, here are the picks I'm going to be making for that. Brock Purdy over 248.5 yards at the Eagles. Philly's a top run defense. We know that. They've been a liability against the pass. What we call this is a pass funnel defense. I think the 49ers come in. They use their wide receiver and tight end mismatches. Christian McCaffrey as a receiver. Purdy has at least 276 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. This is a great probability of going over. Next, I like Michael Pittman over 72.5 yards against the Titans. Now, Pittman's gone over that number in 4 of his last 6. He's also seen at least 8 targets in 5 of 6. Now, Tennessee, not great like they used to be against the run, but much better against the run than the past. Now, on the other hand, Tennessee's allowed a receiver to post 90 yards or more in 3 of their last 4 games. Pittman has a great chance here of going over. Finally, this one's going to be a little bit risky. Amari Cooper over 48.5 yards. In his last 4 games, Cooper, without Dorian Thompson-Robinson, at least 89 yards in 4 or 5 games. Now, we don't expect DTR to play. We expect Joe Flacco in. And Flacco may be past his prime, but he knows enough to force targets to his alpha receiver, and he certainly has an arm to do it. And also, against this defense he'll be facing in Los Angeles, 5 different receivers have gone at least 89 yards in their last 5 games. Now, if you want to play Super Draft, here's our promotion. When you sign up with the promo code ROTO, you'll get a free leg to your parlay and a $20 deposit bonus with a first-time deposit of $20 or more. Also, there's a discount on Thursday night for Thursday Night Football. The community votes on which player they want to see discounted. Otherwise, you can find a way to win 100 times your entry. And if you like to swing for the fence, lottery style, Super Draft has progressive jackpot player props. You make 12 picks, you get them all right, and you win an epic growing jackpot. See you on Super Draft this weekend. All right, everybody. Charlene's in the house. Good morning to you as well. Weekend was great. Yes. And then we had a great game. We'll talk about that. Definitely great. I hope your week's going well. Uncle Ted back in house. Patrick Taylor season, right? Yep. I had him a little bit last week out of desperation in some leagues. Didn't get too much done, but hey, he may have an opportunity. All right, let's talk some Thursday night football. So all season, we've seen the unders be the king, and we've seen teams, potentially good offenses. Obviously the Cowboys have had their games beaten up on bad teams, but for more than not, the unders are cashing, and these Thursday night games have been low scoring. Not here. There were no punts in this game. That was insane. Now, of course, the referees front and center again. But the difference here was all year we're seeing these offensive penalties, right? And these offensive penalties are problematic. They're ineligible downfield, illegal motion, holding, all these things that are stunting drives. These were defensive penalties last night mostly. And it was like anytime there was somebody like near a receiver. Morning, Julie, glad you're here. So, but we saw the penalties just anytime near a receiver, flag. I want to say they were over 250 yards in off defensive flags. That's crazy. Anyway, the offense didn't need any help, but they got it. What was different in this game? Well, first of all, in past years going into this year, good defenses were irrelevant when they played a good offense. We saw it for a number of years. This year, not the case. The good defenses have been able to, show up pretty well. So again, the lack of the penalties against the offense, the penalties against the defense, and then good play design. I think, well, let's start with the Cowboys side of the ball. So the Cowboys have figured out a real simple calculus. CeeDee Lamb is clearly one of the very top receivers in the game. I don't put him in that level of Tyreek, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown, but I put him just beneath that class, and there's no shame in that, right? Maybe over time, CeeDee Lamb moves up another rung to those, but I think hey, no shame, right? Fifth, right in that area, 5th receiver in the game. But what Dallas realized, we've talked about this. They found ways to make him find the mismatch in the defense. They find the weakness, they line him up on the weakness, and they take advantage of it. And it's been very surgical. He has been the catalyst that Dak Prescott has needed. Prescott has that. And what happens is, so Lamb flips the script for everybody else, right? With Lamb doing his thing, now Brandon Cooks is freed up to do his. Jake Ferguson is just insane. Again, we were talking about this guy in May and June. I know some of you weren't drafting yet, but that was when I was getting him in the 18th, 19th round of best ball drafts. And by the end of the summer, we were getting him in the 12th round at best because people were on him a little bit. But we knew this dude's athletic. And you saw it yesterday, just so super athletic in the middle of the field, making very nice catches, running after the catch, strong. Just a great trio of receivers. Tony Pollard gets in the end zone for the third game in a row. Again, not getting 100 scrimmage yards, but you're taking what you get. 20 carries for 68. That's not impressive. But again, volume is king in fantasy football. 15 yards receiving, a touchdown, ultimately gets enough done. And Dak just misses the 300 yards by one, so those get bonuses. We're a little bit salty about that for sure. And but outside of that, Cooks only gets 4 targets, but he catches them all, 45 and a touchdown. But it was basically like the stars showed, and that was about it. Jalen Tolbert made a real nice catch when Dak bailed out from that potential sack by Darrell Taylor. Just Prescott is continuing to get it done. This was not an easy defense to face. The Seahawks, when they bring it, they get pressure. They do have very good corners. They have a solid run defense. This is overall, when they play well, they can bring it and they can complicate things. But obviously Dallas hangs 41 on them, so there weren't that many problems. But Dallas is again just a very impressive offense. Mike McCarthy, though, he lucked out. He just makes horrible decisions. End of the game. That 3rd and 3 where they throw the ball in the end zone to CeeDee Lamb. Incomplete. Stops the clock. Gives the Seahawks a boatload of time. If that mistake was made against Philly or San Francisco or maybe the Lions, probably they're coming down the field and they're winning the game, taking it away from the Cowboys because their coach didn't take 40 seconds off the clock. You could have thrown a screen to somebody if you wanted to try a pass. You could have just run the ball, which was fine. But the screen might have been nice because you would have had the opportunity to break something, but then you would have also had the opportunity to kill the clock and keep it moving. So I think that's about right. But, again, Mike McCarthy got lucky. They led by 6. Geno Smith got the ball. And, of course, Micah Parsons puts the pressure on the big play, incomplete pass, and Dallas does walk away with the win. But to have even been in that scenario, horrible coaching. You take that 40 seconds away, and it's a very different equation. You could drop defense deep, and basically you would have been in a much better spot, but they won. Now, Geno Smith, here is the thing I thought for Seattle. Dallas plays about 45% man defense. That's super high rate in the league. The Browns and the Patriots are all in that range. Most teams are playing about 20% man these days. A lot of zone coverage. But these 3 teams I talk about, Dallas being one of them, heavy man. And I thought there was a chance. My biggest concern with that offensive line held up really well for the most part. Now, I know Geno was pressured a lot, but it could have been a lot worse. They really showed up. Now, Dallas is going to get their pressure against anybody, right? But it wasn't catastrophic. So there was that. So Geno had a little bit of time. And when I didn't see that coming because this game on the offensive line really came out of nowhere. And so what I thought was against man coverage. I mean, Deron Bland, we saw yesterday, he makes some great plays, but ultimately a very good receiver could beat him. And Stephon Gilmore, great player in his time, still very good. But again, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and even Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's a very good trio of receivers. And if the quarterback gets any time and it's man coverage against those 3 receivers, they are going to have a chance to win. And Geno's not afraid to pull the trigger on the ball. He doesn't need to have a big window. Geno sees it at all. Geno is willing to push it. And obviously we got the long touchdown where Metcalf just dusted his coverage, but you saw Metcalf win in a bunch of different ways. It was maybe one of the more versatile games I've seen him play because we saw him win in a variety of ways. Very, very fun to watch. And, then they mix in Noah Fant for a couple catches, which really helped at certain times. At 43 yards on 3 catches. He's emerged as the number 1 tight end, but for fantasy, it really doesn't translate to much. He usually gets 2 to 3 targets. And again, it doesn't really turn into much. There's 3 tight ends they use frequently, but even though Fant's like playing 60% of the snaps, 64%, it really doesn't matter for fantasy. Zach Charbonnet. I had recommended people to play him in fantasy. I said the floor would be good. Hope he gets a touchdown. And that's what it was. Floor play. He caught the 39-yard pass, gives him 99 scrimmage yards, 1 catch, and a touchdown. I don't think anybody's going to complain with, 16.9 PPR points. I don't think anybody complains with that. Even in a standard league, you got 15.9. So I don't think anybody would walk away and say, man, Charbonnet was a bum. This Dallas defense is not great against the run, but they're good enough. And Charbonnet getting 3 yards a carry, that about works. Overall, though, Seattle, they really needed this game. Big loss for them. They have the 49ers coming up again soon. But if they can win a couple other games down the stretch, hopefully they still squeak into the playoffs, but we'll see how that works out. All right, let's see what else we got here. Uncle Ted, Ryan Grant, definitely remember Ryan Grant, and we said good morning to Julie, Uncle Ted, and Charlene. Again, happy that you all are with me today. Uncle Ted, Dylan and Jones limping. Betty goes up. Dylan, he played through a groin injury on Thursday last week, 11 days off. They certainly spotted him in practice. They're going to make sure he's healthy for this one. It's possible, but I do think that A.J. Dillon is going to be very good to go here. Taylor will get mixed in on passing downs. Pass blocks well. Sometimes it turns into catches, sometimes not. Charlene, you picked up A.J. Perry and Josh Palmer. Palmer's still not ready to come back, but hopefully soon. That would help. But, A.T. Perry may be worth an opportunity play this week. Definitely think that I have to use him in some lineups. My Kings Classic lineups, 14 teams, 3 flexes. I have to use A.T. Perry, and Detroit has really been scuffling against the pass, so I do think he could be something. I don't know if Olave gets cleared from the concussion. He showed up at practice, but that getting cleared by the neurologist. Now, we've seen recently, which is weird, most of the season, nobody getting cleared on 1 week. And then all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, you've seen a couple players get cleared. So I don't know if they're softening up, which would be very weird. But we'll see what happens with that. But either way, I think A.T. Perry is fine. And let's see what else we got here. And all right, I think we're good here. Brandon Cooks, yes. Eric, welcome in. Glad you're here as well. I know Jake Ferguson, man, lifesaver. He's really helped me in a lot of leagues. I need him in those Kings Classics ones, and that was the only player I had going, and to get 19 PPR points out of him, that was excellent. Actually, a great start to the week. All right, everybody, remember, if you have the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports channel, every Saturday I'm on 1 to 3 Eastern with Mario Puig. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern with Alan Soslowski. We go over all the overnight breaking news on that show. That's a fast-paced power hour. I think you'll love it if you have SiriusXM. All right, desperation flexes. I posted some of these up on Twitter, but let's definitely talk about these. So there are 4 plays this week. These are players, depending on your league size, of course. If you're in an 8 or a 10-team league, they're not viable. If you're in a 12 or 14-team league, there's 6 teams on bye this week, so we need a lot of help, right? So Greg Dortch, this is kind of low-hanging fruit, but this is weird with him because when Michael Wilson's been out the last week, Wilson's an outside perimeter receiver. Greg Dortch is a tiny slot guy. But so however that's worked out, when Wilson's out, Dortch is getting targets. It's not a correlation, but it's worked that way. Dortch has 17 targets in the last 2 games. It's an 8 and a 9. And he had a touchdown last week, not big yardage. And he had 76 yards a week prior. And so based on the way things are going here, he should continue to see volume. The matchup against Pittsburgh is one they play a lot of man defense, but if Dortch is in the middle of the field, that would be an opportunity to have a continued target share going in his way. Pittsburgh's outside corners are better than the interior defense, so he could be a nice desperation flex. About 4 weeks ago, I told you to go with Jalen Guyton, and he did come up in that game. He played well, definitely posted for you. I like him again this week. So the game after he did well, he got hurt. He came back last week, 1 for 4 in a bad matchup. Did not recommend him anywhere. This week, playing the Patriots. Very little pass rush. Good for Justin Herbert. They're one of those 3 teams with Dallas and Cleveland that play about 45% man. And so Guyton should see some single coverage. The coverage has not been good for the Patriots, and Justin Herbert does need to get the ball downfield. I could see Guyton getting 1 or 2 downfield passes in this game. I love him as a desperation flex. Jonathan Mingo may be available in some leagues. 6 to 7 targets in his last 3. Now, he hasn't been productive until last week, 4 for 60. He did pop up on the injury report with an Achilles injury, but he was limited. So check the injury report. If he puts in at least a limited today, he should be good to go. But he gets a matchup against a struggling Tampa Bay secondary. Now, I know that the offensive coordinator, who still is there with Frank Reich gone, did take play calling for a while. But with Reich gone, there could be a focus on trying to get the ball to the younger players like Mingo. And so it's a narrative. But the fact he did get some targets the last 3 games, at least there's that. And this matchup is good. Jamel Dean missed last week. He's been banged up. The other outside corner, I don't know why I can't think of his name. I use it every week. He hasn't been playing well, and he's been banged up. So there's that, right? So, but Mingo, and then the last one, Marvin Mims. And I've been off on it most of the season, but he's seen 57% of the snaps his last 3 games, aggregate, and 3 targets and 2 straight games. But here's the thing. If you think that Houston is going to get a lead in this game, and maybe they don't, if you feel they'll get a lead, Denver wants to run the ball and not pass a lot. But if they end up trailing, they're going to have to throw. And this would be the opportunity for Marvin Mims to finally get that big desperation flex. But that's where they are. Eric, how do I feel about Christian Watson if Reed can't go, and maybe if he does go? On that, Dontavian Wicks will be more involved. He missed with a concussion last week, another 11 days off. My guess is Wicks is ready to go. So I think that Wicks just kind of steps in as a bigger part of that offense. Watson, just remember, it looked great last week. They caught them on a shot play on the first play of the game. Downfield catch, and he made it. But that hasn't happened a lot. Watson is going to be boom or bust. And it's been more bust than boom all year. But we see the problem is recency bias, Eric. We just had that big game, and we are excited about it. We should be excited about it. Christian Watson has dynamic speed, but we just haven't seen. I remember back in the Raiders game, he had 91 yards, but that was 6 weeks ago? And then he had this one. So his probability of a 3 for 30 is far more probable. And remember, they're playing Kansas City this week. Kansas City is no joke. They not only are they going to put up creative pressures on Jordan Love, but they also are very good in coverage. L'Jarius Sneed, they're just covering very, very well. Their whole defensive secondary. So I wouldn't be excited. Again, boom bust, 70% bust, 30% boom. Charlene loves her some Dearness Johnson. Yes. Travis Etienne's on the injury report with a chest injury. It might be nothing. But if Dearness Johnson on your waiver wire, now it's a Monday night game. But if Etienne were to miss, Dearness Johnson faces a very, very scuffling Cincy defense. All right, let's talk about some quarterback fallers here. Gardner Minshew's been a faller. The last couple games, no touchdown passes, 2 interceptions, yardage under 200 yards in each. Now, he ran in a short touchdown last week, which helped. But we talked about it earlier. Gardner Minshew is Gardner Minshew. We've seen it for years. He comes out hot, has a good game 2, or maybe in this case 4, but eventually he's Gardner Minshew. Now, the good news is he still can get the ball to his receivers, and it's a narrow target tree. So Michael Pittman should still put up yardage, and to a degree, I think Josh Downs does too. But that since it's narrow, he could throw for 170 yards, 160, and those two could still do okay, but nobody else. Now Zach Moss is back in the lead with Jonathan Taylor out there playing Tennessee. Tennessee, remember, they're not the same level of run defense they were in past years. So this is not a horrible matchup. It's not a great matchup either. But again, Zach Moss, he's proven. And I pointed this out early in the season. Nobody was on him. Last year, he finished the season, those 4 strong games when he got the 4 starts. He continued that right into this year. Zach Moss, top 15 running back, regardless of matchup, because he has done it literally probably 9 games that he's played as in that lead role. The offensive line blocking is very good. I hope to get Ryan Kelly back at center this week. He was out last week. I'll have to check on his status and see there. We don't spend much time on it, but Bryce Young, I just keep telling you this. If you're in a dynasty league, look, I said going into this that Bryce Young would have to be an outlier to hit. His size, for durability concerns, for sightline issues, that was going to be a problem. But the poor man can't be judged on this year. The offensive line, Ike Ekwonu, the left tackle, has not played up to the standard he did last year. The rest of the line has not been good. And he does his receivers. Again, if Adam Thielen's your lead guy, love Adam Thielen, but if he's your lead guy, there's a real problem there. So don't judge for the fantasy for this year. Obviously, you're already out of the equation. If you're in a super flex league and you have to start him, you do. But it's going downhill. But hopefully they can make some additions to that offensive line in the offseason, get him some another legitimate to go, Jonathan Mingo, who might be pretty good down the way. I don't think he's a star, but I think he can be pretty good. And there's that. Running back negative trends. Austin Eckler. Maybe it's the high ankle. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's a combination of both. Last week, he had 10 for 32 on the ground, 5 for 32 to the air. The prior work, 10 for 64 and 2 catches for 6. Not cashing for fantasy. But you got to start him. And he's going to get volume in the passing game. So there's that. His matchup this week, not excited about it. They're playing New England, who's much better against the run than they are against the pass. And New England, they still have Belichick. Still going to try to slow down the top options, and it's a pretty easy one. I mean, not that they will be able to do it, but they know they got to worry about Eckler. They know they got to worry about Keenan Allen, and they're not downfield guys. So expect a lot of compressed defense, which is why I like Jalen Guyton as a desperation flex, because I do think the defense can be compressed, and I do think he'll be able to get behind that for a big play or two. So there's that. Charlene points out Brock Purdy betting the over on his prop this week. I mentioned that at the top of the show. Philly's what we call a pass funnel defense. They're great against the run, bad against the pass. And San Francisco, great coach in Kyle Shanahan. The weapons that they have on offense, the Eagles will have no answer for them. Brock, and I don't know which of those receiver goes off. That's why I'm not betting it on the receivers. It could be a Ayuk game. It could be a Debo game. It could be a Kittle game. It's always a Christian McCaffrey game. But definitely love Brock Purdy this week. This could be a big week for Brock Purdy. All right. Trending down. Oh, I hate to say this. It pains my heart. James Conner, not his fault. Again, all season, running for well over 4 yards per carry every week. Bank, but not bank for your fantasy account, because the usage of the passing game is just dump offs. Nothing structured. He's a very good receiver, not using him that way. Kyler has stolen touchdowns the last 2 weeks at the goal line. So right now, look, James Conner and the yardage. So he had, 32 yards this week. That doesn't get it done. He had 63 the prior week, 73 the week before that. But again, with hardly any receptions, hardly any goal line, it's just empty points. And it's not a lot of them. Now, he's playing Pittsburgh this week. Revenge match. He goes against his former team. But I have no reason to quantify they're going to use him better in the receiving game. He's going to get better work at the goal line. They're going to even get down there. So right now, James Conner's a flex play. Ugh, pains my heart, because if he was on a team that was going to utilize him, he is still an excellent running back when he's healthy. And I don't think anybody who watches him play can question that for a moment. If you're enjoying the show, please consider hitting the like or subscribe button. Would appreciate that greatly if you're on RotoWire YouTube. And also, Brad, we'll have Adam Thompson coming in at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go through some gambling plays, break down a few NFL games for the weekend. I think that'll be a great experience for everybody. Hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Wide receiver fallers. Well, hopefully this is temporary. But Mari Cooper, not his fault. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Oh, my gosh. Coop's seen 14 targets in the last 2 games. 6 catches for 50 yards. What do? Joe Flacco. Hopefully Joe Flacco's to the rescue. Dorian Thompson-Robinson suffered a concussion. He was, I think he was knocked out. I don't think he's playing this week. I think it would be a less than 10% chance. Joe Flacco, look, he might not be good. All right? But he still can get the ball to his alpha receiver. And believe me, when Joe Flacco has to throw, he's going to have eyes for Cooper. Cooper was talking up Flacco during the week. I think he knows this is his opportunity to get going. So, look, they're playing the Rams. Rams are pretty good against the run. As long as the pass rush doesn't get home from Aaron Donald and Byron Young, their secondary is terrible. Play Cooper if Flacco's going this week. He should be fine. He should have a good floor. And don't be surprised if Coop comes in with another 100-yard game and a touchdown. Do not be surprised that. My prediction for him will be 60 yards, 65 yards, 60% chance to score if Flacco's a quarterback. But I could see a world where he does this. The offensive line is still good enough to be able to protect. And Flacco will have play action. That'll be his friend in this game because any defense that plays the Browns, they have to respect the play action. So there's that. But Cooper is trending down as long as Dorian Thompson-Robinson is his quarterback. Chris Godwin's trending down. Oh, again, painful to say. I mean, the yardage hasn't been horrific. 3 for 45 last week, 6 for 39, 4 for 54. PPR, 7.5, 9.9, 9.4. Not what you wanted. Not catastrophic, but not what you were hoping to get out of Chris Godwin. And it is a bit of a neck injury right now, but he had that a few weeks ago. Probably plays. Check the injury report on him. But they're playing Carolina this week. So, look, he does get targeted in the red zone on occasion. Mike Evans, of course, is the guy there, and it's not close. But again, Godwin's seen an average of 7 targets over the last 3. So it's not like he doesn't see targets. And so if he plays, there's downside. The floor is there's a floor. At least there's a moderate floor. Okay. So you've got that. But we hope he gets a touchdown and then he can come through for a decent game for you. Terry McLaurin. He's a superstar. And the offense in Washington, with teams that get pressure on Howell, they do like to throw out of the middle deal. Curtis Samuel last week. This week, they're playing Miami. Even without Jalen Phillips, who hurt his Achilles, they're going to get pressure. And those corners on the outside, the Vic Fangio defense, they don't give up a lot of explosives. And so that's kind of where Terry McLaurin makes his hay. Now, McLaurin, 50 yards last week on 11 targets, 43 yards on 7 targets, 33 yards on 8 targets. Those were his last 3 games. He hasn't scored a touchdown. So you play him as a high floor play. He should get you about 10 PPR points. And again, if he does somehow get the big play, if he somehow gets the touchdown, you are in business there. So there's that. And Adam Thompson, happy week 13 Friday. How are you, sir?
Good. It's hard to imagine week 13 already.
And
next thing you know, it's going to be just doldrums. NBA, nothing but NBA. Nah, NFL's a year-long endeavor now. As soon as this is over, free agency, the next thing you know, the draft, then all of a sudden teams are getting back together again. So.
And you're right about that, Adam, but I always start thinking ahead, and I hate when I do that because it's a little bit depressing. The engagement of the audience during the regular season, it's some of the hardcores will stick around in the offseason, but like 80% of the people that give us energy by what they provide to us, they kind of go into live normal lives because they're not degenerates like us. If I speak for both of us, I'm sure you won't disagree with me here. But anyway, I digress. Let's have fun while we're here because we could definitely join Adam Thompson, the ATM, substance over style odds maker and handicapper. You know him from bookies.com. You used to know him from CBS Sportsline. But Adam, again, documented winner. You hear him every week on Friday on this show. I always tell you, watch who you're getting your gambling advice from. If you're getting it from somebody that's a casual, that you're going to get casual results. Adam understands the game. He understands the trends. That's why you listen to Adam Thompson. Adam, let's get right into it. You got 4 good plays this week, or maybe 5 if I'm looking at this right. So let's start out with the Raider. Oh, no, I got the wrong week on here. For some reason, I got the wrong set of notes here. Can you tell me the first game we got here?
What do we got? We got Steelers.
Cardinals? We do. Here, I'm going to get to the right spot right here.
Others.
Yep, here we go. I think we're good.
We got all sorts. Yep, we got any game you want. We can
Chargers,
Patriots.
Any
game you want.
I got them right now. Chargers, Patriots. I got the right notes now.
Chargers, Patriots. This is I've been backing the Patriots too much. I keep waiting for Mac Jones, and he shows signs, but just not very often. And clearly, he may not even be the quarterback anymore.
He won't.
It's a total disaster, obviously. And Bailey Zappi, is he a lot better? He's shown flashes too, but then that one game he came in, tried to be a hero, and threw a pick, and the game was over. So who knows what we're getting for the Patriots? That all said, of course, I am going with New England again at home, getting the points +6. I just can't stay away. Here we go again. But the matchups here are good. I mean, it's supposed to be rainy. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be windy. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be just kind of a slugfest. And that does not behoove anything the Chargers want to do. Their run game is mediocre.
Yes.
Their run defense is atrocious. The Patriots rank number 1. For all the things they do wrong, they rank number 1 in the NFL in fewest yards allowed per rush attempt.
They're good.
Yeah, that's impressive. if it comes down to that, and they have a good pass defense too, if it comes down to it, and you take Justin Herbert out of the game and you take Bailey Zappi out of the game, well, who does that benefit? Obviously, the Patriots would take that any day of the week. So +6 in those conditions. This might be one of those games, kind of like Michigan when Harbaugh got suspended and they passed the ball. They went like 2 for 4 passing that first time and ran the ball 50 times. I think the Chargers are going to have to put 10 in the box before New England airs it out. And Belichick likes to throw, but I think he's going to run. He's going to keep running. He's going to keep getting 4 yards per carry. And eventually they could win this game, but I really like the points in that weather.
You know, Adam, what I've noticed with the Patriots early in the season, they had some offensive line injuries. They had some cohesion issues. The run blocking has gotten significantly better. And in the last month, Ramondre Stevenson is putting up over 100 scrimmage yards. I believe it's 3 straight games. And it has been much, much better. And it's because Stevenson's an excellent running back. And so, as you point out, this matchup against the Chargers is optimal for him. And this is a game where you could feed him. And Zeke Elliott will mix in as well, too. But yes, and I also think that play action, Bailey Zappi, middle of the field. The Chargers cannot cover the middle of the field. The tight end's a very big liability against them. I know Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki have not been world beaters, but this could be a game where if they run like you said, and then occasional play action, easy throws for Zappi over the middle, that could be just the formula and to drain the clock and really make it tough. And he said if the weather is going to be tough, that really makes it problematic. Who do you think how do you think the Patriots go about? They play about 44% man, which the Browns and the Cowboys are top of the league. I wonder if they go at him differently because of Keenan Allen. He's the only receiver they have to worry about. And I almost wonder if they would just decide to, bracket him and really make the other guys beat him. Do you have any read on that?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Belichick, he kind of likes what he likes sometimes. So we'll see if he makes adjustments to it, but you're right. This Herbert-led offense, since he's lost, Williams especially, and Palmer's kind of Palmer's been in and out. It's been a struggle for them, and that finger's not 100%. His blocking is so, and Eckler's having a fine season, but he's not what we've come to expect over the last couple of years.
Not a superstar. All right, so the Lions and Saints are next. The Saints are a different team at home. They play much more spirited defense. You could tell the adrenaline level is much higher. They have more complete defensive games. Offensively, Derek Carr has had some of his better performances at home. Now, in this case, Chris Olave, the practice participation doesn't mean much. It needs to be cleared by an independent neurologist. Now, early in the season, hardly anybody was getting cleared in 1 week. The last couple of weeks, it's weird. We're seeing a couple players get cleared, which has been odd. So we'll see what happens with Olave. But having him could be pivotal. Obviously, Michael Thomas has been gone. If Olave is out, leaves him with – and Shaheed's probably not playing here either. So there's that. Now, the Lions, on the other hand, Adam, the offensive line's been good. Jared Goff has really struggled in the last 2 games, and you always worry about that. But the biggest problem is their pass defense has been atrocious, and we're just seeing teams now attack that. They found that's the weak link. How do you break down Lions Saints?
Yeah, the concussions are the new COVID. Every you were out immediately, and everybody had a huge concern, and then people just stopped caring after a while, and now it's fine again. It's just one of those things. So. If Olave doesn't play, though, who's Carr going to throw the ball to? That's going to be a huge problem for them because you're right. The Lions, we saw Jordan Love carve up this Lions defense on Thanksgiving. And Carr, he struggled against Atlanta. He threw a pick 6. It was a huge play. He had some issues when they put pressure on him, and they don't really blitz that much, I don't think.
Nope.
So that was that was concerning if you're New Orleans. But if he has nobody to throw to, Olave's really been a great security blanket for him. And they've really found a connection. But if he's not out there, I really like the Lions in this matchup because Alvin Kamara, he's just he hits people in Vegas more than he does linebackers these days. Sorry.
And it's not too soon. It's not at all too soon.
Not too soon. Okay, good. Yeah. So he's struggling. So if they have to rely on Kamara more than usual because there's no receivers to throw to, Detroit ranks top 5 against the run.
Yes.
So that's a tough matchup. They're extremely physical up front. So Jared Goff, like you said, the Saints have been very opportunistic on defense. They try to ball hawk. They go after the strips. Jared Goff is not good at handling the ball, would be an understatement. If you smack him in the arm, that ball is coming out. So that's obviously an issue. But I like the Saints, or I actually don't. I don't like the Saints. I like the Lions here at 4 points, because in the dome, I think they're going to be all right. They've covered on 4 of their 5 road games. They've covered the spread. The only time they did was against that Ravens team that is defying all odds. So I like them here. I think if Olavi plays, we'll see what that means with the line. But I think the Lions have had enough time to kind of lick their wounds and figure out what happened against Green Bay that they can bounce back here against New Orleans.
Man, 2 good reference. You had Jordan Love carve them up on Thanksgiving. That was perfect. Oh. And a lion licking his wounds. Man, look at, you're on the A game today, Adam Thompson.
Wow. Coffee's working this morning, baby.
100%. Now, another thing, let's add into this. You mentioned with the time to lick their wounds. Well, you're right. They had a Thursday game, extra rest. Ben Johnson's been a great offensive coordinator, and we've seen some problems last week. And I think you're kind of like weaving this into your narrative that, yes, he's probably going to have some adjustments and some things that haven't been working well, and they probably had a little extra time for him to think about how he wants to navigate play calling, because that routine of the NFL is on a regular short week, it's just like business as usual. There's no extra time to do any outside the box thinking, but on these little mini buys, there definitely is an opportunity for coaches to rethink. So I love that angle on that.
And there are, I think, did Ben Johnson work with Dennis Allen somewhere? I'm trying to remember. There's a coaching connection there where some of the Lions coaches and coordinators have worked with the Saints or came from the Saints. So there's kind of an insider knowledge on how to best attack this team too.
Oh, I like that.
I can't remember where I heard that from. I didn't find that myself. But I heard it from somebody important, so it must be true.
So exactly, it was on the internet, so it must be true. Oh man, so Cardinals Steelers are next. Boy, the Cardinals really laid an egg last week against the Rams. I mean, that was a scary beatdown. Kyler Murray did not get much going at all in that one. The continued misuse of James Conner, playing at a high level, but no production because there's no real use of the passing game, nothing creative to that. Defensively, last week, and we'll see if the injuries hold, but they were down their left corner, they were down a safety, they were down a defensive end last week, and they got a beat down. The Steelers come in now. Finally, we saw the new offensive coordinators, Faulkner, and there's another guy involved, use the middle of the field. Adam, this is the biggest joke about the time with Matt Canada. He would run play action. So on play action, right, you get the linebackers to bite. So where do you throw the ball? Middle of the field, right? Mm-hmm. Matt Canada would call play action and throw to the perimeter. Well, guess what? The corners weren't biting up the middle. And that was so. And now we first week, all of a sudden, play action. Oh, middle of the field. Pat Fryer moved 20 yards, 25 yards. Imagine that. An offense that actually had an idea. They've been running the ball well for weeks now. Cardinals really can't stop much of anything. But all that said, how are you breaking this game down?
Yeah, I think you should be an offensive coordinator in this NFL. I think you
I'd
could,
love to.
I think you could figure this out. I think you got this game. I think you got this game down. Yeah, I was surprised by how bad. I thought Arizona would hang. It wasn't one of my picks last week, but it was one of my finalists. Was Arizona to cover against the Rams, and I'm glad I didn't, because they didn't even come close. They got blown out in every single way. Kyler Murray has, you take away garbage time plays, he has 1 touchdown in his return, 1 passing touchdown rather. Actually, just 1 touchdown. I think most of his run touchdowns have been when the game is over. So,
right.
He's not leading this team. It was a triumphant debut when he showed up, but since then it's not gone well. And like I said, the Steelers. They only managed 16 points in the first game without Canada, but they had the most yards in a game in 3 years in their first game with a different play caller. So I think you take that, now you put it against a Cardinals defense that ranks 31st in points allowed, 27th in yards allowed, bottom 10 in red zone. I think the Steelers can actually go from 16 points to 32 points in this game, and I don't think Murray and the Cardinals can keep up. So this is probably my favorite bet of the week. I like Steelers to cover, especially at home.
Yeah, totally with you. No way to refute that. There's only one question. This is narrative, Adam, and you probably know this from over the years. The Steelers, when they play a patsy opponent, there are so many times that they just don't show up. Is that something that is in the back of your mind that you're aware of?
It usually is, because I did think about that. They are notorious over the years, especially with Roethlisberger back when they were good, and that's part of it. Is back when they were good, when they were favored by 7 to 10 or more points, they just they were like I mean, they clearly didn't have anybody on their staff or on their roster that was betting on them, because they would never cover when they were favored big. They were just trying to go for the win. They don't care if it's by 3 or by 30. Now this team is, they're favored in this game, obviously against an Arizona team that's outmatched in a lot of ways. But this is a team that's fighting. They need to make a statement, and I think they want to make a statement, for the new offensive play callers.
So the last game we'll talk about is Colts Titans. Now the Colts, they have played solid football throughout. Gardner Minshew, from a passing perspective, it's starting to erode away like it does every year. Starts out hot. He's not quite what he was. He still has Pittman and Downs, can get them the ball enough. Jonathan Taylor is out, but I don't know that hurts them, because the running game may have been better with Zach Moss. No offense to Jonathan Taylor, but it clearly, they're not losing a step here. Defensively, the Colts have been able to get enough pressure, timely pressure. The run defense, there's one more game without Grover Stewart, the defensive tackle, and that has been a big hit to their run defense, and is the last game they'll be without him. And the Titans, on the other hand, they have yet to lose a game that's been played in their home state. They had a home game that was international, and they lost to the Ravens, but they have won every home game they played. Defensively, at home, they play a little better. Not a good defense at all. Bad pass defense. Decent against the run. Will Levis, films out on him. He hasn't really had a good game since he shocked everybody the first game round. How are you breaking this one down, Adam?
Yeah, the Titans, you talk about home road splits. This team defies explanation as to how good they are at home and how bad they are on the road. We're talking 25 points a game at home, 12 on the road. Why? How? I don't understand. But like you said, they're really good at home. They allow almost 10 fewer points a game at home, almost 100 fewer yards per game at home. Will Levis hasn't thrown a pick at home, so he's been that kind of game manager that they need with Derrick Henry when he's at home. Why this hasn't worked on the road at all, I have no idea. But the Colts defense, 26 versus the run with Derrick Henry at home again. I'll keep using that. So yeah, obviously, I like the Titans in this one, and I agree. I don't think Zach Moss is a downgrade. He took on this Tennessee defense in the Dome in Indy and rushed for about 120 some yards. So I don't think it's a huge loss at all, which is, surprising. We were all saying this because Jonathan Taylor was the top 3 running back to go into the season.
Man,
holdout. He wants all the money. Now he gets paid, and now he leaves the game due to injury. It's not even a drop off from the guy that's replacing him. So. I think Moss is going to get his, but I think Derrick Henry is going to get his as well. As long as Levis doesn't make those mistakes, I think the Titans can win at home.
Adam, this is crazy. So Jonathan Taylor clearly holding out for money, and we understand how that all works, but Zach Moss was crushing it. Once they saw that they were getting similar results, obviously the explosive plays weren't there that Taylor could give you, but they popped out $42 million for Taylor when Moss was showing they could run their offense through him and not pay the premium. They could have gotten something for Taylor. What were they thinking?
A lot of teams really wanted Taylor. The Packers, which, they have 2 good running backs. They really wanted Jonathan Taylor. But Indy's asking price was, Christian Watson in a first rounder or something, some extremely high. Same thing with the Dolphins. They wanted him as well. And now, they paid a premium on a position that people don't pay premiums on anymore. And now they're stuck.
Right.
And now what? You can't shore up a lot of the other issues that you have out there. Their pass defense has improved slightly, but it's still not very good. Their run defense, has issues. Injuries have been a concern there, but they have a lot of other issues is what I'm trying to say. And it should not have probably all gone to one player. That was not an issue.
But Jim Irsay would say we're just getting on him because he's a white billionaire. So sorry, Jim Irsay. That's what he said. I couldn't believe that. Nice. Way to go, Jim Irsay. A couple of quick
poor white billionaires. They're just an oppressed group out there. I think we need white billionaire awareness month.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that could be March.
Ugh. A couple last comments. We're out of here. Charlene's excited about Dolphins, Commanders, and Texans, Denver. Not for a prediction or anything. Are you excited about the Texans and Denver game?
Not really.
Yeah.
No, Denver surprised me. They were dead in the water. They're literally giving up 70 points in a game. And Russell Wilson just didn't look like he had it, but they figured it out. Williams running the ball, Wilson passing not 40 times a game, passing 25, and they have playmakers, and the defense is obviously extremely improved from the first month of the season. I didn't think they had it in them, but I am proven wrong. I'm giving all the credit to the coaching staff and everybody for not for staying calm and figuring it out. I like the Dolphins. Dolphins were probably my next favorite pick this week over the Commanders. And the Commanders team, they've played with heart. They played with grit. I like Sam Howell, but boy, it's over. Ron Rivera's gone after the season. Everybody knows it. They got a new ownership. He wants a fresh start. They traded away two of their top defensive players. That's clearly coming out now when teams are scoring 40 on them regularly. Yes. If teams are scoring 40 on them regularly, the Dolphins are going to score 40 on them as well. And, I don't think Washington – well, I worried about the backdoor cover because I do like Howell. I do like his targets. I think Miami covers in that one. And if you have a fantasy player on the Dolphins, play him. You're probably already going to play him.
Right.
Play him this week for sure.
And then quickly, Nick Rico says he's a tight end this week. Pat Freiermuth, Cade Otton, Taysom Hill for a win to secure the playoff run. So if Olave doesn't play, I think Taysom Hill is a bigger part of the game plan this week, and I would go with Taysom. Or if otherwise, if we have to expect if the new coaches in Pittsburgh who prioritize getting the ball to the middle, that was Freiermuth. This is a very bad tight end defense in Arizona. Freiermuth would be the safest, I think. But again, if you don't think the coaching staff will do it 2 weeks in a row, it could be Taysom. Let me put that on the board for the names for you. But it was, again, you'll see it here. It was Taysom Hill, Otton, and Freiermuth. Any thought on your end of which one might be a good play this week?
I go Freiermuth. Like you said, they changed their offense last week to include more of the middle of the field, and now you're taking out a defense that doesn't guard the middle of the field. And Kenny Pickett, the last thing he needs to do is start getting overconfident and launching at 40 yards. Just do what you do. Go 24 of 30 for 199 yards, and half of it should go to Freiermuth. Just dinking and dunking it. Don't make any dumb mistakes, and you should be fine.
Adam, tell everybody where they can find you and your work.
Bookies.com/picks is where the picks go up. They're up as early as Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, throughout the week. And on the socials, at Bookies Adam, you can find him.
He's Adam Thompson. You catch him here every Friday on this show. Through the playoffs, I'm sure I could get you to come during the playoffs as well.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, we enjoy having you with us, and thank you. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Start, sit, stream on Sunday. For Adam Thompson, I'm Jim Coventry. Have a great rest of your day.